This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the December 26th meeting of the Selectmen. We'll open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Tim's got a lot to go over, so we'll go ahead. Tim, you got it.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate you all signing everything that needed to be signed for tonight. A couple of changes that I'd like to have the board do, one of which is when the Turner agreement was originally signed, it was to be paid out of the capital reserve fund for the island. And since we have since ceased that particular agreement, I'd like to, instead of taking that out of the capital reserve at the island, just charge that to the island park maintenance line, which there's been very little spent. It will overspend the line, but it doesn't put us in any kind of bad position or anything. And what that does for us is that preserves $100,793 in the capital reserve fund for the island. So when you take the 500,000 grant, 100,000 plus of the capital reserve fund, and then the additional monies we had for bridge from the state and other donations, it gives us over $675,000 towards the repair and restoration of the bridge and island. So I would just ask that the board move to rescind charging the Turner agreement to the capital reserve fund of the island and to pay it out of the Park Island maintenance line.
So moved.
Second, Scanlon.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The second item I had was just a confirmation, really more than anything else. When the air conditioning was put in at Town Hall, there was some discussion about whether we would charge some of that to ARPA or some of that to the infrastructure capital reserve fund. We're not in any position where we have to use either of those capital reserve funds to pay for it. And I'd just like to leave it where it is and just have the board's consensus that it's fine to leave it within the Town Hall maintenance expense line. And that's for the air conditioning. So.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. John?
Yep, that's good.
Okay.
Terrific. All right. So then on to business. So on my report, you'll see that I've got two items that I would like to encumber. And these are items relative to the smoke detector installation. So the Mango was here the other day installing the smoke detectors and discovered that the 30-year plus panel, while it has the capability of accepting those, and it did, is not operating properly when an alarm, it does alarm when the alarm goes off, but there's no way to cancel the alarm without fully removing power from the panel itself, which is not a normal situation. So they suggested.
This is our electrical panel in Town Hall.
This is our fire monitoring panel downstairs.
Okay, all right.
And they had talked to us in the past about, that thing's going to need to be replaced soon. And the concern I had with the smokes was, will it accommodate the number of smokes that we want to have? And the answer was yes, which it did. And it alarms, but it doesn't shut off. So considering it's not operating as it should, Mango recommended replacing the panel. It's a cost of $1,680, which I think is actually pretty reasonable considering the other costs that I've gotten for that in the past. And that includes installation. And then one of the good byproducts of that is that we'll be able to monitor that using IP. So using our fiber, the fiber can, instead of having a dialer and go out over a plain, POTS line, a telephone line.
Yeah.
So when this is all done for that, and the second one I'd like to do, which is our panic button system, having it also, rather than using a dialer and a phone line, use the fiber. It requires a module connected to the panic button system to communicate over IP. But once that's done, I'll be able to remove the expense of the phone lines here at Town Hall for those purposes.
And how much does it cost for this piece of equipment you're talking about?
So the second piece of equipment is $825, and that's the IP interface for the panic button alarm, and that includes installation.
Tim, I thought they were up here doing smokes up here, but I don't see any.
They have to. There's still some to finish. They haven't completed everything yet. Yep. I was told it might be today, and I said, well, we have a meeting in the afternoon, so maybe they may have rescheduled it, and I may have missed it. But in any event, what I would ask for is, the one we wouldn't necessarily have to come to the board for, but because it's, I want to encumber both of these, it's a total of $2,505.
So once this panel is basically up to date, how long will that last?
Well, the one we've had has been in, they think, since either 94 or 92 when it was originally installed.
Okay.
When the first floor was reconfigured, that's when it was installed. So it's been, 30 or 32 years.
And so basically you just want to put it so that it will update through fiber and stay.
Well, that's one of the byproducts of it, but also it will fix whatever is not working correctly with the current panel, with the newer smokes. So
you'll be able to shut it off.
We'll be able to reset it at the panel. That's correct, which is how it's supposed to operate.
And if at any point we need to put more smoke detectors in for some whatever reason, will it hold it?
Yes, it has expansion capability beyond what we have now. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then the panic.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the key things I think Eric might have just been about to ask, but the POTS line, plain old telephone service, is a lot less than reliable. We've had numerous problems over the past, I'd say, 5 to 8 years with just dropping phone lines and then not even knowing it. And we've also had communication failures with the POTS line on the panic buttons as well. So the phone company just isn't the same since without Pat working there for service. Keep it running.
Gone downhill since then.
Well, John, just for clarification, you're talking about in general, not necessarily the town hall, correct?
In general, but I know we've had some communication failures on the over the last few years with the reporting of the panic buttons, because I remember trying to trace down the lines down the basement, the line
Right.
seizure.
I remember that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I'm good.
I think it's important.
Yeah, and
those panic buttons.
this would be paid out of 2024 money. So
I'm also in favor.
Do you need a motion to that effect?
no, I think
Okay.
yes,
If it's over, right?
because we're going to encumber.
So I need to make a motion to encumber $2,505 to approve and encumber the Mango quotes
Fire panel and
for the
IP
fire
modules.
panel and the module for the panic button.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. All right, so if you look at my report, you'll see that I've updated all the ARPA information, and I've consolidated the expenditures by project. And the only thing that we have not paid for in 2024 is the Morrison Avenue rework. which was committed and voted on by the board. So we're good with that. And so we're all set with ARPA and committing that money. And then in the budget encumbrances, so we have now $124,375 of budget encumbrances. And you can see the listing that includes Academy Street Engineering, the second coat of Morrison and Grant Streets, and then the smoke detectors, the Canman High Heat, the Mango Fire Panel and IP module just approved, and then the Jefferson Solutions actuarial agreement.
What's the difference between, where's the other part of the second coat of Morrison and Grant Street? The 46,000, and you have up here committed the 59,000.
So the first part of Morrison is coming out of ARPA funds. That's the 59,850.
So this is in addition to.
This is the second coat, the spring coat, if you will, for Morrison and Grant Streets, the 46,000.
Okay.
And
Did
that
they
was
put
just
the first
approved.
coat down though?
Well, no. So we're encumbering this money so that when it is done,
Yeah.
we can pay for it out of 24 monies.
Okay.
And that was the last item that the board had approved at your last meeting,
Right.
just at the end,
Right.
if the money permitted, which it did. So that will leave us somewhere when all is said and done. Once I do the accounting for the banked individuals for their PTO and account for the final payroll and other expenses at year end, it should put us somewhere in the 180 range, somewhere in there, left over that'll be added to fund balance. So, roughly speaking, if we're lucky, maybe it's a little closer to 200, but it'll be in that general vicinity. So other than that, we have the budget, which you have a new budget
Do you
document.
need, we've already encumbered all of these.
You have, if you wish to
Just do a
just
total.
confirm the encumbrances on my budget report for $124,375. That'd be fine if you would like to do that.
So I'd like to make a motion to do a final budget encumbrance total of $124,375 on Tim's
The detail.
finance report dated the 26th, 2024.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion?
I'd like to have this list in the minutes
Okay.
so that people will know it's not $124,000 for one specific thing.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
you can do that.
Okay. So Sue, if you're listening to this, you can, the budget encumbrances totaling $124,375, we'd like it to be spelled out. Thank you.
And she does get a copy of my report.
Yep,
So
she
she'll
does.
have that.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Motion passes.
So regarding the budget, I did not, so there are some different monitoring fees in these two Mango items. I did not put those in. I don't think it's material to change it for that. And this is essentially the same budget report that you received at your last meeting, showing what the budget committee has voted on so far. And if the board wishes to vote on any or all of this, you certainly open to making any changes to it in subsequent meetings. It's certainly your prerogative. But the budget committee on the 8th is going to be addressing outside agencies, and I believe culture and recreation, and also the police department. But they have voted on all the other budgets.
Board, what's your pleasure? Do you want to vote on it? all but the police.
You know what? I'd just soon, if we don't have to do this today, I'd rather have Catherine be involved in the conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I do have a question on the public works.
Mhm.
It's down. Or is there any particular reason why that would be?
So the
Especially where we just hired someone.
right. So the primary reason is because of personnel changes. So we had the original director was budgeted for this year, and then he had left when this was all approved,
At a higher
or
wage.
during that in that process. But the budget stayed the same for that department, and also there were changes to medical in there too. So
Okay.
the there is going to be a slight change. We haven't received all the paperwork on the new employee, so I'm anticipating that we're going to have a change. It's not going to be a huge change, but it may affect it by, say, $10,000 in that budget.
Okay.
Outside of that, there are just various other, up and down changes, but within the public works budget.
Tim, oh, I'm sorry. Do you still want to go?
Just
Go
have
ahead.
One more question.
No, go ahead.
The health and welfare.
Yes.
So after having Heather present to us, is that?
So the budget committee voted to reduce her general assistance line by $10,000. They didn't feel that the increase was warranted, and that there is a provision that the town can overspend its budget for welfare and also for legal reasons, for sued or damages, things like that.
Yeah.
So they felt as though they didn't need to budget for that. The history hasn't shown that she's used it in recent years, but we explained, and Joe was there at the meeting, and I explained how a lot of the programs that she was reliant on aren't either available or in existence anymore.
They're going away. Yeah.
They're going away.
That's my only concern. But
It's
to your
people
point,
living up on Route 3 up there right now.
Right.
But
I
to your
believe
point,
you mentioned that. Yeah.
There are opportunities for us to be able to give them money
Yes.
if she is to.
In fact, you can,
Need it.
the board can do it's a bottom line budget. So the board can do a budget transfer into that line anytime you like during the year. So,
Yeah. Okay. That was my concern. Seeing it go down.
But try to figure out where we're going to do it
Right.
from.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather know the exact figure so
Right.
we could put that figure in there, but we don't know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
So I'm okay with that, I guess.
It's one that it's an unknown because
It
you
is.
never know, and it's mostly at the end of the
It
year
is.
that it
Yeah.
skyrockets.
That's all I have for that.
I have one question. The Lakes Region Mutual Aid,
Yes.
is it really up 18.5%?
Yes. So you're going to be speaking with the fire chief at I believe you're talking about Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you'll be speaking with the chief I believe at the next meeting.
Isn't he our representative?
He is your representative. Yes. And he can explain to you. In fact, the original estimate we got on that was lower. Somehow they apportion some of their capital expenditures, to all the towns. And I can tell you, it is still, I believe it is less expensive still paying for it directly rather than having the fire district pay for it, which was originally the big discussion. If the fire district paid for it, then we're paying for it in our fire taxes, which is
And then a
60
double
plus
one, right.
percent.
Right.
We're paying marginally less, but I suspect that it's getting closer and closer. There doesn't seem to be any control we have over it,
None.
at least
And
that I
it's
can tell.
been-
But
It's the only game in town, right?
Yes.
it is the only
Yes,
game
it
in
is.
town.
But it's spend, spend, spend. There's the fire department. It's spend, spend, spend. It's just like, wow.
Well, and I believe the commissioners are going to be before you as well. So
Oh,
Correct.
good.
gives you an opportunity.
I hope they bring their budget with 5 copies. Can we request that?
Can.
Thank you.
Yep.
From what I understand, their operating budget this current year is up around 4%,
Mhm.
4+%, something like that. I'm pretty sure it's under 5. In any event, other than that, there was some discussion. There were some other changes. The budget committee wanted, or there was a big discussion about how much interest we needed for short-term debt. The day that we met, the Fed had lowered the interest rate by 0.25%, and what I tried to explain is that when we look at what our cash needs are, we have to account for other projects. So if there's a federal project or Caleb Hill Road project, anytime there's something big, generally speaking, they all work in the manner of you have to expend the money first and then you get the money back within a certain time period. It's not instantaneous. So you have to be able to float not only your regular expenses, but also those grant or, bigger expenses. So last year, one of which was the island, with not knowing when things were going to start and hit. So that was a big portion. Caleb Hill Road was a big portion of that. And for this following year, I think it's going to be less so for Caleb Hill, but certainly the island, we could still, it could be a month or two before we're able to recoup money, I suppose, depending upon how things are working in Washington. So you have to be able to have the borrowing power to cover all your expenses during that time until you're reimbursed. And so that's why it is where it is. But the budget committee wanted to cut it down. And I try to explain what I go through to try to manage this to minimize the number as much as possible. So it's almost like Heather and I are in a no-win situation because you have a certain figure that you can manage to, and then you're trying to keep it as low as possible. But when you keep it as low as possible by, in her case, using other resources, and in my case, managing the cash flow a certain way and getting some vendors to hold off until we have the tax money, you're almost like in a
Right.
bad position because now it looks like you're not, you're budgeting too much. But you still have to have that ability to make those commitments. And that was one, boy, I was willing to go to the mat for that line because without the ability to borrow, it would be mighty ugly. Or sufficiently borrow, I should say. So that was a big item of discussion. There were a lot of other smaller lines that the budget committee felt could be trimmed, and the economic development and land use was trimmed a little bit. They thought that the beautification didn't need quite so much money. The town clerk tax collector line, they took some money out where we were discussing the fact that the town is going to have to purchase the equipment for accessibility in 25, and we don't know how much it's going to cost. So things of that sort, but they still felt like, the board's going to be able to find that money, and maybe we will. So they went through sort of with that eye to the budget, and most of them were $800 here, $1,000 there, that sort of thing.
That all adds up.
Uh,
Every department, if you're going to take away a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, all of these $800, $1,000, they all add up.
It did. The biggest reason we always have some type of money left over is personnel. It's always that's where it really is, because your personnel, you've got health insurance, retirement, you've got taxes, all those other categories that go along with the wages. So if And right now, at that meeting, it was discussed that there will probably be an open position filled by the time they next meet, which will be the case on the 8th. So DPW should be pretty much all set with the exception of their part-time individual. And then we still have one patrol and one detective open at the PD currently. But I know that the chief is working very hard to get both filled. So.
Yeah, it's not easy right now.
Can you just take a gander down on health and welfare? Executive committee, bus driver stipends.
Let's see.
What page is that?
6.
Yep, page 6.
Oh, thanks.
We have 6 right now.
You have 6 now. Okay.
But look at the amount that you have there. What do you do for bus drivers? I'm unaware right now. Is it 300 or 400?
No, we've done the 400. So you have 11 there at 400, which is the 4,400. But you say you have 6 bus drivers now?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have 6 and 6 is 12.
Right. So with a 6th bus driver, because in here I show 6 and 5. So the 11 was the 4,400. So now with the additional bus driver, that go up to 4,800 then. And that can be under the selectmen's voted or for that matter, I can change the department request on that, since that's just updating what we know.
Yeah, the math didn't, because we just got one a couple of weeks ago, Eric,
Oh, okay.
that they're not aware of.
So 6 and 6, because we have one driver that refuses it each year.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I did include him.
Okay.
I did, in the numbers, I did include him.
You did. Okay.
Right.
All right.
So just keep it.
4,400.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And, if during the year it turns out, all 12 wish to have, their stipends, then, it'll be overspent by
Yes,
$400. Other than that, that's
Nice. I was just wondering, like,
I know. I was thinking the
not
same
able
thing.
to see this.
I must have old paper in the copier. I don't know. It's looking very gray to me.
Going through this tonight, so it is basically the same as what we. Is there anything that, in addition, or anything that you want to touch on that we didn't
No,
go over before
on
this?
No, I think really as you go down, if you were to go through the administrative budget, and you look through these lines, there, there are some things that, there's some minor changes. I'm trying to see if there was
That's a
anything.
good point you bring up. Does this account for the changes of what we voted on for Scott and for Madam Chair?
So, yes, because the request was to keep the budget as it is.
Yeah.
So any change in duties or pay would just be paid out of the appropriate line.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So,
okay.
Yep.
So it's all okay.
Yep.
So
So it all stays.
are you all set, John, or speak up if you got a question?
No, I'm pretty much all set. It might be lighter on your copy because I'm looking at the online copy. It's blue ink, so
Yeah.
it probably
Okay.
wouldn't have painted as black.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, we just turned the light on. That's what happened.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So I can.
I have one question here on the outside agencies. I just wanted to see if Joe had an explanation for the cap, why it was reduced to from 12,000 to $3,700.
No, that's showing an increase of 3,700. So last year it was 8,300, and they're requesting 12,000 this year.
Well, they requested 12. Wait a minute, they requested 12,000 the last time too. Remember they shorted them and then we increased it at town meeting?
Well, the year before that we had increased it. I don't believe last year it was brought back up.
So this says it's increased by $3,700.
The request, that's correct.
Okay, so it's an increase of 44%, but that's really not because they had cut it at budget committee the last year by 8,300. We increased it, I think, at town meeting.
That it was. I think that was the year prior. I can look it up real quick.
So possibly in 2023 they asked for 12,
And
and they voted it and voted. It was voted at 8,300. So you.
budget committee did.
Yeah.
And then I increased it to 12 at town,
Town meeting.
because what's looped in that portion is Meals on Wheels and the senior center.
Oh yeah, that's all wrapped into that. That's right.
So for 24, they had requested 12,000, but the Selectmen Budget Committee and Town Meeting voted 8,300.
Okay,
So all that was not changed that year. It was the year prior.
it was a year prior. Okay,
I believe it was the year prior. But I do recall that was done. There were a couple. I think Franklin Visiting Nurses may have been the other one at that point. I can point out to you that that for the administrative department, if you're to look at the cover page, the request is the same as what the budget committee voted, so they made no changes to that. That might be maybe an easier way for the board to look at this in terms of the scrutiny that they've done as they've gone over it. If the board wanted to vote on the $787,079 for the administration department.
Again, I would rather have Catherine here.
Oh, okay.
That conversation.
Yep. Okay. All right. Good deal. But in any case,
I find it very difficult on the town clerk tax collector, because I think what they cut out was training.
they did. They cut out some of the training.
They couldn't go last year,
I explained that.
and that was the certification, so they had planned to go this year for the certification.
I explained that. Yep, I explained that. That because of the elections last year, they weren't able to fit that in, and but as Joe will hopefully confirm,
Not everybody agreed with the ultimate outcome. Let's put it that way.
they actually cut $2,350 out of the town clerk tax collector budget. It wasn't just training. That was one of the items.
How much did they cut out of training?
They cut it by $500.
Okay, so if they cut it by $500, is there possibility? Because obviously they need to go to the training.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, is there ways that we can come up with to help them get that training?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to be certified.
Right.
They got to do it.
Yeah, possibly at the budget hearing, if we state that case, at that hearing, they can amend it and re-vote on it too. The
Oh,
budget
okay.
committee can.
I think that's a good idea.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
So I would highly recommend that on the 2nd, the board votes so that the budget committee at their public hearing on the 15th, because that'll be your last meeting before the budget public hearing. So then anyone that attends that, or once you've voted on it, this will go online so people can take a look at the budget, and they'll see what the selectmen have voted for, see what the budget committee has voted for, and it gives them a little bit more information when we get people that come to the budget public hearing,
Yeah.
a more substantive discussion.
And then it has the other opportunity on the floor at the town meeting.
That's right.
Okay.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, to have a healthy discussion
Right.
about various aspects of the
Mhm.
budget. Kind of informs us as to who we are as a town.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree.
There is, just as an FYI, I was speaking to our hauler for solid waste collection, and there seems to be some, they seem to think that at some point the state of New Hampshire is going to mandate recycling collection. And so just something to keep in mind going down the road. The comment was made to me, it's a good thing you guys are upping your transfer station, and doing more there, because, that mandate may come down the road. It doesn't necessarily mean it's curbside recycling collection, but it may involve other things that will require more services offered at the transfer station. So just something to keep in mind. I did send out an email to the board with all the outside agencies when they appeared before the budget committee, so that any of you could listen to their presentations and discussion with the budget committee over their budgets. And I can resend that email if you need it.
Do you have the, also, I'll put it downstairs in the selectman's office. I have all of the information from each of the outside agencies, how much money they've got, accounts
Oh.
receivable, what they pay,
And-
the executives'
Okay.
salary.
I believe the board also has those. I'm not certain where they are in your packets, but you have access to all the outside agency information
Well, there you
that
go.
Amy's collected for you. So,
Yeah.
but in that email that has the videos, it also notes, what timestamp to go to listen to that particular group. So you don't have
That's
to
right,
you don't have to hunt and peck.
Yeah, I did
I
see
did
that email.
I did the hunting and pecking for you.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. That was great.
Yep.
I would like that email again. If
Yeah,
you would.
I'll resend that out to the board. Yep.
Tim, can I jump in and ask the board? Would the board, I have the Academy Street engineering update, two proposals for the board to review. I was going to discuss it sometime in January, but it's pretty lengthy, so I didn't want to send it via email and overcrowd your box, but totally the board's wishes. I can send it via email.
I would like you to.
Okay, and it's I think it's 48 pages or
That's fine.
something, but it has two proposals. So I'll send it to the board via email. You guys can look at it and see. It just gets your mind working for, what we're going to do in March to look for funding for that project. So.
When do we have to notify Waterworks? on that for the water department?
Well, there's
For the water
so
district?
there's still the matter of completing the agreement with them, and I think I think I'm hopeful that this proposal will allay some of their fears and some of the reasons why they had so many guarantees written into the contract or the agreement with the town. So I think that was originally um, I think that was the original issue why that agreement was even proposed and the way it was worded. And we got a lot taken out of it, but not everything. And it still seemed to put the onus on us that somehow any issues were going to be our issues. And
Beyond if we break it.
yeah,
If we break it, we fix it.
Right.
You know, but this
Yeah.
is way beyond that.
yeah, it was a little,
Yeah.
it was a little.
But I thought we were
excessive.
really close to having that done.
Me
If
too.
not done,
It is. It is. However, I think the fact that there's an engineering company that is listing out all the things, it may have solved some of the other issues that maybe we don't have to offer such an extensive time period by which we'll warranty the work. So that's at least that was my personal opinion. We'll just have to see.
Okay.
that far out.
Exactly.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because originally it was going to be our plan and our people doing the work, and I think that's what
Now it's
Concerned.
engineers, right?
right. So
Got it.
in any case,
Okay.
so to answer your question though, notification, they'll I think there'll be an effort to keep them in the loop the whole way through. At the same time, fire back up that agreement and try to get that sorted out before town meeting. I would
Yeah.
think. So
Yeah, we'll need to, right?
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that's really all I have, unless
Okay.
you all have something else.
I didn't see anything that really majorly stood out. I mean,
And if there is, as you go through it, just drop me an email, and I'm happy. If somebody sends me an individual email on the budget and asks a question, I'll send it out to the whole board, so you've got whatever answer there is. But other than that, that's all I have.
Great.
That's it?
Okay. Well, that was easy.
All right.
Wouldn't that be
For
nice
now.
all the time?
I know. Yeah.
Easy for you to say.
Easy peasy on this one. We'll put the budget right back into our books here so that we can know that we're going to vote on it the next meeting.
Just as a reminder, Madam Chair, we have Donna Lane, who will be coming on the 2nd to propose a CDBG, excuse me, the cold's got my head, upgrade for archways. And we have the fire commissioners, which want to discuss the budget. They want to discuss their proposals for the building plan with you. And then the fire chief wants to talk about altering the parking so that it can be more safe now that we have the survey of the parking lot done, which I hope to have a written survey copy for you at that meeting. So
I would like a copy of the budget, not necessarily talk about the budget. We can always do that in another time, or a budget meeting with the fire department. I don't think it's an appropriate time to talk about the budget at a fire department budget at the selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
I'd just like a copy of it if I could.
Okay. Yep. I asked him for 5 copies. So.
Unless the other selectman wants to do it.
I always like to I don't know what's in their budget necessarily, but I like to look a person in the eye when they're trying to explain some of their choices.
It's fine with me.
Hey, Tim?
Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but you know what?
It was John.
Yes.
Yeah, Tim, I'm going to look at line 413385. Just if you can just take a look at that beforehand. I don't know if we need a lot of pre-employment background checks and that.
I think that's 385. Okay.
Yeah, just
they-
take a look at it and we can discuss it the next one. I didn't want to surprise you at
Okay.
budget.
All right, we'll do.
Scott, you said that at the next meeting, the fire chief wants to come to discuss the parking.
Correct.
Okay. Has he already gotten word of the new survey and stuff that was done?
He asked where it was at, and I explained to him that we were waiting for the final copy, but that it had in fact been completed. So,
Okay. All right. Because I'd like to see it
yeah,
as well, kind of before a meeting,
right.
if that was possible.
Correct.
Just
Yep.
so I could walk over there and take a look at it
Right.
while I'm holding the paper.
Yep.
Did I get the number right? 4133?
The 385?
385. It's the pre-employment.
It's the candy budget too.
It's where the candy comes out of. It's really our miscellaneous line for the administration. So anything that's required for, say, staff meetings,
Okay.
other types of any awards, any special
Cakes,
anything,
cupcakes.
cakes, condolences, other things from the board, they all get paid out of that line.
Okay, that helps.
Mm. That's fine with me. I wash my hands of candy buying, remember?
Now wait a minute.
Wait,
No, I don't remember that at all.
I didn't hear you say
What
that.
I heard you say was I won't be able to get the candy this time.
Exactly.
And I volunteered. I
Yeah.
Oh,
didn't hear you say
I'm
I'll
pretty
never
sure
buy
that
the
was-
candy
Oh.
again.
Good try.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Eric, this is an annual thing, the candy budget. So
Yeah.
oh,
Should be.
I'll justify that line to anybody.
yeah. Okay, is there any more business to come before us at this meeting?
Ooh, ooh,
Joe,
ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, it's my turn, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
second. All those in favor?
Merry Christmas.
bye.
All right.
See you next
we wish
year.
all of you to have
Happy
a
New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Bye, John.